Hello, I'm Mark Dolan, and this is the News Dump. First up, yes, they're back in the news. Departures at Heathrow were stopped this week following reports of yet another irritating drone. No, not Jacob Rees-Mogg, this was the real deal. Now, the government plans to give the police new powers to tackle the illegal use of drones. These include web slinging, the ability to scale skyscrapers, and really stretchy arms. The army have also been drafted in to deploy specialist equipment. The equipment in question, a number of large sticks and gravel from the floor of the short stay car park. It's the second time in 3 weeks that the military has had to step in. It's become such a regular part of army life, the MOD have now updated their recent recruitment campaign with the slogan, "Be the best," at stopping some bloke called Nigel who's got a bit carried away with the drone he's just bought from Argos. And now, I'm sorry, Brexit. The greatest act of self-mutilation since all of Jodie Marsh. The uncertainty could cause an exodus of worried Brits. Many are considering moving to Greece just to get some economic stability. Last month, Theresa May postponed Parliament's Brexit vote when she realised she wasn't going to win. She set a new date, Tuesday the 15th of January. But Mrs May could have one more tactic up her sleeve, as reports suggest she's preparing a new bill that would implement a brand new calendar. The Mayan calendar brings December forward by 9 months, so it sits between February and March. Genius. Politicians might be having a hard time in the chamber, but it's also tough for them out on the streets, with harassment of MPs rising sharply. Anna Soubry, for instance, was heinously described by one verbal abuser as a Tory, an accusation she strenuously denies. And at this moment, we'd like to apologise for using such strong language. And back in the Commons, MPs have been asked to cut back on their late-night office parties because it's badly disturbing the orgies next door. Now, if you've made it this far and you're wondering, what on earth am I watching? I mean, I like it, but what is it? Well, you're watching the News Dump. Part website, part show. We bridge the gap between the cheap and easy satire that's all over the internet and the very best of the topical comedy you'll find on TV. Everyone loves a funny headline, but each article on the News Dump website offers so much more. They're literally full to bursting with fantastic jokes. So if a post makes you laugh, click the link and read on, you will love it. And if you do, that also means that some nice men in suits get to show you an advert, maybe 2 adverts, which means that we can make more of these and hopefully at some point buy a new set. I mean, what is that? I don't even know what that is. Shocking scenes at the Golden Globes as A Star is Born picks up just 1 award. Especially surprised was director Bradley Cooper, who now regrets wearing a dress that's such an obvious nod to his co-star. The dress follows a less successful collaboration with his local fishmonger. He was followed by Cats for many weeks. Margot Robbie is set to play Barbie in a live-action movie. And just to be clear, that's the real story, not the joke. Rated PG for mild, genital-free nudity, Robbie's experience in Hollywood makes her perfect for the role. She knows exactly what it's like to be treated as a cheap lump of plastic, dressed by other people, and have men constantly check whether or not she's actually got a vagina. If the film is a success, toy maker Mattel already has plans to follow up with Scrabble the movie. Mr. T has been lined up to star in an unknown role, while Piers Morgan, in his acting debut, will play a great big C. Hollywood actor Bryan Cranston, meanwhile, has landed himself in hot water after agreeing to play a quadriplegic man in his latest movie. Not ideal, but he's not the first. Jack Whitehall played someone gay in Disney's Jungle Cruise, and Hugh Grant played an actor in Paddington 2. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is to divorce his wife of 25 years. The divorce papers arrived earlier this week. He was out, so they hid them behind a wheelie bin in his front garden. The divorce is set to cost $68.5 billion, or $40 billion new and used. Bezos' fortune was built up after years of hard work, innovation, and never paying tax anywhere ever. Ever, anywhere, never. Apparently, his wife is looking for half of his fortune because she still wants to be able to pay for Amazon Prime. Royal news now, and Prince Charles has advertised for a new personal assistant. Duties are to include handling calls, answering emails, and making hourly checks with the palace to see if the Queen has died. The advert says candidates will have a high level of professionalism, self-motivation, and impeccable IT skills. They'll also need to be highly flexible, particularly in their lower back, as there's lots of bowing and scraping to be done. Meanwhile, daughter-in-law Kate Middleton celebrated her birthday this week, and the public are divided between those that don't care and others that don't give a fuck. While Charles's other daughter-in-law has also had tongues wagging, with Meghan's oversized baby bump suggesting twins. Is it twins though? Or is it just one child and a really big dinner? Our money's on the latter, but give the girl a break. It was Christmas. Time now to talk about the NHS, who this week announced they'd be shifting their focus to prevention, because with their budget cuts, it's now impossible to cure anyone of anything. GPs are among those to get the biggest funding increases. Some surgeries may even be able to put the heating on for half an hour a day in winter. And patients like Jean will be able to jump straight to the front of the waiting list and get that packet of supermarket paracetamol she's been waiting on for months. In Glasgow, a woman had to be treated for mild chemical injuries after she was mistakenly prescribed impotence cream for an eye condition. She applied the cream liberally and spent the rest of the week giving everyone a hard stare. One of the consequences: anyone who had unprotected eye contact with the woman has since fallen pregnant. That's 3,000 people in Sauchiehall Street alone, or double if you count the seahorse she winked at Glasgow Zoo. A big week for space fans, as China became the first nation to successfully land a spacecraft on the dark side of the moon. Sadly, all they found was a mystifyingly overrated prog rock album. The so-called dark side of the moon is a vast, desolate communications black spot, making it perfectly suited to a mission from China. Having built the only man-made structure that can be seen from space, there is a certain irony to the fact that the Chinese have landed on the one part of the moon where they can't actually enjoy the view. A leading mum blogger has revealed her fears about not loving her second child as much as the first. I personally don't have this problem. As a proud father, I love both of my sons equally. George, the eldest, blue eyes, good at maths, and the other one. Great news for exhausted parents. We no longer need to worry about our children's screen use after a study found no evidence of harm. We're particularly happy in the Dolan household about this, because our iPad is an invaluable parenting tool. I say tool, but George actually calls the tablet daddy and says Mark's on charge whenever I'm in bed, which, thanks to daddy, is far more than it used to be. The real tech fans, though, have all been in Las Vegas this week at CES 2019, a conference so geeky it makes Comic-Con look like a night at the Playboy Mansion. Last year, a Russian robot, hailed as the most advanced ever, turned out to be nothing more than a man in a suit. Whilst in the UK, a man in a suit turned out to be a robot called Jacob Rees-Mogg. This year, there's a robot called Robotemi that has Alexa built in. Now, when you can't find your glasses, you can say, "Alexa, go to the bedroom and check if my glasses are by the bed." And when found, you can then blame Alexa for having moved them and refuse to speak to her for a full 3 days just to send a clear message. There were, of course, also dozens of new drones on display at CES this year, although a party representing Sussex Police claimed they found none. And that's all we have time for on this very first episode of the News Dump. If you've watched this far, then wow, you must have actually enjoyed it. The News Dump is made by a collective of comedians, comedy writers, and TV producers trying to do things a little differently. If we've made you laugh and you want to help us continue doing what we are doing, there are a whole load of ways you can show your support. Firstly, you can support us on Patreon. A few pounds a month and you'll help us cover our costs while making sure the show and the site gets bigger, bolder, and more importantly, funnier every week. Secondly, you can buy something from the News Dump store. Up your mug game, make sure that first cup of tea in the morning is always funny, and support the News Dump at the same time. And finally, most importantly, just keep on doing what you're doing. Watch, like, click, share, all of that stuff. It really makes a huge difference. There's going to be a different funny face hosting the show each week, which is bad news, obviously, if you were hoping to see more of me. I understand that you're only human. Fear not, you can catch my new series, Mark Dolan's VIP Lounge, on Audible. So, who do you want to present the next show? Let us know in the comments and maybe we'll ask them. But for now, we'll have to go. I think there's a drone in my garden. Goodbye.